Welcome into Training Camp Live. It's a little damp, a little wet out here, but the players, the guys are on the field. An hour of warm-ups, and then they'll be going through the walkthrough. Julie Donaldson, Santana Moss. We're getting warmed up for today's show.
Yes.
Are you feeling, I mean, look, we're a couple days in. You know, I feel like, soon we'll be really totally hitting that stride, right?
Yeah, the weather sucks because it's on and off. It was hot yesterday.
What's going on.
I couldn't bear the heat yesterday, but now it's cool back down.
You're from a Florida guy. People always say that to me too, but summer's really one of my least favorites.
The heat is a lot different up here,
It is, that's for sure. Look, so we are warming up. We're going to get straight into it today. As again, we want to bring you as much we can of training camp. We know you've been sitting at home. You're waiting to be able to see how this team is coming together under the leadership of head coach Ron Rivera. We're going to start, though, talking about some of the greatest in the game. And ESPN, Bill Barnell, put out an article talking about players that are a lock for the Hall of Fame. Yes, we're already going ahead and predicting who on the roster may be one of those guys. And obviously, for the Washington football team, caught myself there, it would be Adrian Peterson. I don't think anybody out there is going to argue against that AD, AP, whichever you want to call him, when he is first available, will be able to go up there. But it might be a while because he says he wants to keep playing. He by no means does he say he wants to retire after the season.
I mean, he's a deadlock. Fifth all-time right now is one of the top 5 leading rushers, 14,000 plus yards, and he's a guy that says he sees 3 or 4 more years on himself. So who knows? He's not trying to be a Hall of Famer no time soon. So just allow him to continue to add on more yardage, and you never know, man. His legacy is already stamped, and I think that he's going to be a deadlock.
One of the things last season is we know there wasn't much to celebrate with just 3 wins, but I feel like every other game we kept saying how he was breaking another record, becoming the first, moving up the charts there. Of the active running backs, only Frank Gore is ahead of him, and he has the opportunity to be able to pass him this season should he get off on the right footing and be able to carry things out. Yeah. So look, I think there's no argument there. 100% he is a lock to go to the Hall of Fame. Also on the team, you have Landon Collins, 10 to 39%, Chase Young, 10 to 39%. Many people saying when Chase Young came drafted in here that, look, that was kind of a given that he probably would go in. Like, he hasn't gotten there down. Yeah. They also put the Eagles, the Giants, the Cowboys have 3 players that they think are likely going in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Cowboys, man.
Yeah, we're not going to spend too much time on that.
Exactly.
But let's get back to Chase Young. Look, that is the hype, and we've even said it here on the show. That is the hype, that he is pretty much going to be a lock for the Hall of Fame. I mean, what he did at Ohio State, you can't argue against. And, you assume he's going to bring in those accolades, but do you think the Hall of Fame, putting that on him, is too much too early, too soon?
It's crazy to even be sitting here talking about guys prematurely who's going to be Hall of Famers. When I was playing in this game, man, Chad Johnson got ridiculed for putting on a Hall of Fame jacket as a celebration. And now we're giving these guys alleys and saying they're going to be Hall of Famers. But it's crazy to even be thinking about Chase Young as a Hall of Famer. He hasn't taken a snap yet in this league. But just knowing his star impact, he's the lottery pick of this draft. Easily could have been the #1 pick overall. And I understand why it's so much hype. It's great to have a talent like that on this team because I'm looking forward to what he can create for all the others. I think when you have a generational talent like that, he's going to make the team just that much better because of what he's going to bring to the field. He's going to seek your attention.
Yeah, he will. Again, he's a very dominating presence out here. He's not really hard to miss if you're actually able to get your eyes in on practice. But you look at what he did his last year at Ohio State, 16.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbled, 6 strip sacks, and you anticipate him even improving really, or being able to come in and take that and translate right away into there. They say he maybe didn't have as much technically sound fundamentals as maybe a Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa, but he has more athletic ability. So the coaches get their hands on him, then the potential and the ceiling is really high. And of course, many times we've heard him compared to Julius Peppers, which many say he should be automatically right in there. So barring anything, is there anything you think would keep him away from the Hall of Fame? I
mean, like anything, when it comes down to it, you just have to see this guy play the game. I don't expect nothing but the best from him. He's just that guy. He's one of those guys that just his walk alone tells you that he's going to be a star. And I'm just ready. Like I said before, I never get too ahead of things. I mean, I'm one of those guys that say show me first, but he's a guy that I can almost expect it out the gate. So I'm looking forward to what he brings. But Hall of Famer, let's just keep it at pump my brakes a little bit with that.
I kind of like, too, that he said, he didn't do anything at the Combine. I think his tape spoke for himself when he was out there. He said, look, I'm not trying to be a Combine player. I'm trying to be a football player, and that's what he's all about. Anytime you ask him anything, and the few times that I have interviewed him, he's like, look, I just want to get out there. I want to work. That's all he wants to do. It's the only thing he lives, eats, sleeps, breathes, and does. So by all means, look, maybe one day we are talking about him finally getting into the Hall of Fame when that day does come. Look, you played for quite a few years. Did you play with some Hall of Famers?
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't got any on this squad yet that I played with. But when I was in New York, I played with two great Hall of Famers, and they both on offense with me, Curtis Martin and Kevin Mawai, our running back and our center. Kevin Mawai was a great offensive lineman. I mean, he showed me from day one what it took to be that consistent offensive lineman. From year in and year out, he was all pro, pro bowler. Curtis Martin is one of the guys I can credit. You know, I give a lot of credit to how I became a pro. You know, what it took for me to have a long career. I watched him. I was a sponge. I sat next to him in the training room. One year he was the leading back. I think he won MVP that year also. He led in yards, and he had 2 bum ankles. He didn't practice a down for us throughout the week and went out there Sunday and got 100 yards plus every week. So sitting there being a young pup, soaking up the game from him, he told me how to get a trainer. He told me how to get masseuse. All that, you know, things that I did to make my career what it was because of Curtis Martin.
You know, I worked in New York City and I worked in Boston. In New York City covering, I think I missed you just a little bit at the Jets, but I covered the Giants. I had Michael Strahan. He was a great one to cover, always entertaining. And of course, in Boston, I covered Tom Brady. Look, we can assume that he's gonna be a lock when that time does come.
That's
although he may not retire for another 5 years. Looking
Who
at
knows?
that. You know, it's also going to be an interesting question, which we'll get into later in camp. You know, where do you measure the accolades? Is it a Hall of Fame? Is it Super Bowls? Is it winning Coach or Players of the Year? Those will be conversations I think we'll have as camp goes on, because I think it's a little bit interesting. You like to have the accolades, but of course everybody wants that coveted ring. But when we come back here, we're going to get a little bit further into training camp and into this team. We're going to be talking about the linebackers. Thomas Davis Sr. is a player you actually played against, and he's still out here playing. How does he fit into this team, and what are the rising stars you need to pay attention to in that unit? And also, we're going to play a little game of over-under. Will Dwayne Haskins Jr. have over 3,500 yards? Terry McLaurin finding the end zone? Stay with us on Training Camp Live.
This summer, get back in the driver's seat. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Like the versatile HR-V or the fun-to-drive CR-V. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the CR-V at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
All right, we are back on Training Camp Live. The entire team, 80 players, are out on the field going through warm-ups, and they're going through walkthroughs as the offense and defense are trying to install their schemes and their systems as we head into this season under head coach Ron Rivera. Look, he was a linebacker when he played, now taking over this team. So there's a lot of focus on how that linebacking room is going to come together. Yep. Coach Steve Russ is in charge of leading them. And look, he comes over from Carolina where he had one, Luke Kuechly. But can he turn anybody on this roster into Luke Kuechly?
Luke wanted to be coached like everybody else, and he craved information. He craved coaching. It's one of the reasons why he was very, very good. He also was very instinctual and has incredible talent. I mean, I think Luke Kuechly is a no-brainer Hall of Famer, and absolutely love coaching him, just like I love coaching Thomas Davis, Shaq Thompson, all those guys down there. You know, really, I see, you know, to say, oh, I see somebody that could be Luke Kuechly. You know, there's one Luke Kuechly, you know, and I see a lot of good football players here that I think that can help reach their potential. And that's really what we want to do as a coach, right? I mean, to be able to help somebody, whatever that potential is, we want to be able to reach those guys. And, in this day and age of the NFL that we live in right now, especially this season, we need to build depth as much as anything. And I think we've got a good core group of guys. I think we're going to have great competition amongst this group. And this is a group that I'm really, really excited to work with. I think everybody has things that they bring to the table that are good. And what I do like about this group is one of the things that made Luke good was he's a football junkie. You know, he was always studying, he was always learning, he was always asking questions. And, you know, Matt, we got a bunch of guys that love football.
All right, I think it's pretty much fair. There really is only one. And well, Kuechly actually had one of his best seasons underneath Steve Russ as well. So we'll see what he can do when he gets his hands on this linebacking core. Look, this is the X's. We are presented by Pepsi in this segment as we're breaking down the linebackers. One of the players on the current roster that I think there's a lot of excitement for is Cole Holcomb. He came up a little bit late in the season, but he had over 100 tackles as a rookie. The game slowed down. He has the ability to cover. There's high hopes for him in this system.
Yeah, well, one of the things that Coach talked about is that he has a bright future. He said he's a football junkie. He wants to learn more. He knows that he's a little rough around the edges. And if you watched the guy play last year, the only problem I had with him that he was lost every time they put him in coverage. But when it came time to hunt, that dog found that bone. And he was a guy that ran after the ball carrier. Every time that guy or whoever had the ball in his hands, he was around the ball. So that allows you to know that this guy is going to be one of those linebackers that we can probably be calling his name for a long time while he's here.
Right. They said he's one of the smartest guys, really picking up this system, totally immersed into the meetings. And he said the game slowed down a little bit for him a little bit later, and I think that was part of it as well. So you anticipate strides from him. Look, another player that is, I think, due for a bit of a breakout. We've been saying this last season, but you can kind of just throw everything that happened in the defense. It's a wash. Let's just throw that out. Sean Dion Hamilton. It's my understanding that they think the system this where he has the ability to go out there and make more plays by what they're trying to put in. Yeah,
he's a guy that's great in the pass. You know, he can cover people. He can get out to the football also, and he's a young guy. He's one of those guys that we wanted to see on the field last year. Injuries here and there kind of hamper that, but new system, new coaching staff, probably a new hunger for him because, you know, I know being a player, when you're in that situation where you want to be out there and things are holding you back, it's time for him to show up. So I'm pretty sure that he's trying to be a wrecking force this year also.
You know, one of the things about him that was kind of a knock is they say maybe his size. He's not this tallest in stature of there, but then it was brought back to me, well, neither was London Fletcher.
Yeah.
And you look at the impact that he had, except for the fact that London Fletcher was always one of the loudest voices in that linebacker.
The holder is Frost. Ethan Albright, the snapper, is ready. Chris Cooley. Great catch by Chris Cooley.
And their 33 sacks nearly doubled the total.
Didn't do anything out here, and of course there's all that controversy and how they brought him in. But from what I'm told, like, he doesn't have the green light. But the word that was given to me on what you're seeing him being able to do, even without the green light, without being fully healthy, was described to me as phenomenal.
Yeah, we talking about Chase Young. We talking about so much other when it comes to what we can, hope for when it comes to this season with the new defense and the new staff. But that's a guy who we haven't really mentioned that much. You know, Ruben, I understand he's on the PUP list and everything right now, but when he gets the green light and he has the opportunity to come out here and join these guys, it's no telling what's going to happen in that linebacker room. We're going to have a lot of people that can get out to the ball, and I'm looking forward to seeing that day when he can really get out there and strut his stuff.
Yeah, I'm told that he will be out there. It's just a matter of when. Is it the start of the season, or is it a certain point once you get through it? But look, the big thing that's going to impact this linebacking core and how they do come together is because they're moving from the 3-4 to the 4-3. What's the biggest difference for them in the 4-3?
I think the biggest difference in the 4-3 is, you know, in the 3-4, you rely on those front guys to make, cause all the havoc. But you want those linebackers to, get out there and bring the pressure. In the 4-3, the lineman now is bringing the pressure. That middle linebacker is going to go out there and hunt. Whoever has that ball, he's eyeing that guy. So that's the biggest difference to me. And then when you look at those guys on the outside, in the 3-4, you can use those guys as, edge rushers, DNs, or you name it. But the 3-4 is going to bring a little more stability for us because for so many years, we've had guys that fit the 4-3, but we're playing them out of, position. So I think now we have a better chance to get out to the ball.
Yeah, one player too that we kind of mentioned coming in here, Khaleke Hudson. In the system, they have him playing the mic and outside, and so look, there's a little bit of a mental game that goes on there, pretty much fitting into everything that you're saying. But apparently, he's kind of grasping that well. So it'll be fun to kind of see how this group wears out. It's been a bit of a weakness on the team in past, and we'll see if Steve Russ can kind of get them going in the right direction. If you do talk about really some of the best qualities that a linebacker has, I mean, look, you played with some of the greats, Jonathan Vilma, London Fletcher, Marcus Washington when you're here. How would you describe what you really think is going to be like the complete linebacker?
I think when you talk about all those guys, they all had the same qualities. You know, I mean, they was leaders out the womb.
The holder is Frost. Ethan Albright, the snapper, is ready. Chris Cooley.
They're gonna hit anybody with that ball.
Great catch by Chris Cooley.
And their 33 sacks nearly doubled the total from 2006.
I've seen a guy make a case for a special teams player.
Middle linebacker London Fletcher sparked the resurgence, proving to be the Redskins' key
He wanted to play
offseason.
special teams so bad. He was one of the top linebackers coming out of high school at Poly out there in California, and he put up a film and said, you know, this is how bad I want to play this game. And he had someone kick the ball off to his mom, and he flatlined her. So they had the same quality as that guy, and that's what makes a great linebacker.
You know, look, credits to the moms out there. You hear a lot of these guys talking, you know, they're raised by their moms. Their moms are out there teaching them the game as well. You know, I mean, not to cross over, but even Bradley Beal, his mom was the one really kind of teaching him hoops too. So much respect to the moms out there. We certainly hope you don't get tackled by your sons in this game, but whatever it is, to going out there, and then hopefully at least they purchase her a car or something worthy of being able to get into that. Thomas Davis Sr. is on this. He's still going in 16 seasons. Like, they bring him in because he knows what Ron Rivera wants out of this system. He totally gets that. He can kind of help coach up the younger guys. But he's still going. He says he'll still be able to make plays and get out there, but also just having that leadership. But did you played against him?
No doubt. Played against him. He was the guy that when you cut the film on and you're trying to study the defensive backs, being a receiver, I'm looking at the other guys, and you just see this guy head hunting. You see this guy making plays, and you find him here and there. I remember even being on the field, catching the ball across the middle and making sure that I stay out of his way. But he's a hunter, and I'm happy to see him here because not only he's going to be a leader and be able to show these guys how to play the game. You think about it, last season, I think he had 100-something plus tackles. So the guy still can get after the ball. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, too, for this team.
You know, it's interesting you say that. He led the Chargers in tackles last season, and they even said that he had a hard time kind of picking up their system a little bit. So I asked him about that. I said, so why is this the feedback I'm getting? He said, look, he goes, I've always gone downhill, and they wanted me to go different. So you go 14 seasons and 14 years playing this is straight downhill, and they switch it up. He still was the most impactful linebacker on that team. So
how about that?
He still has the ability to get plays out there. Just got to monitor his body in his 16th season, but he will be a presence in that locker room for sure. When you do look back at some of your days playing against linebackers, were there certain names that you kind of made sure, oh, wait a second, I'm going up against him, make sure I know where he's at, and let's go the other side?
Well, I would say all of them. I mean, I'm a little guy. Linebackers, I don't care how big of your name it was, how big you was of stature. I don't want to be hit by you, you know. But the names that stand out the most, on my team when I was in New York, we had Marvin Jones. I grew up in Miami. He's a Miami guy. We're family. And when he played for Florida State played against Miami, he has this hit that he flatlined the guy. So I never wanted to be a part of that in practice. I'm glad I was on his team. Playing against other linebackers, I could say Ray Lewis. He's a you know, part of my alma mater, and Ray Lewis will always come to me before the game when we play each other, hug you, kiss you, tell you how much he love you. But man, when it's time to play, this guy was hunting. So he was always letting you know, don't get in my way, Tanner. So I made sure I stay out of his way. I got hit by him one time, and he couldn't believe I was still up after I got hit. I couldn't believe it either, but that just goes to show you what, you know, about those you guys.
It's good you got the pleasantries out before the game instead of after where the hits are. You can just then kind of like find your way to spread out.
I thought that would butter him up, telling me how much he loved me, but we get out there, he want to do nothing but kill me.
Hey, look, that's why you're all alpha dogs out there. You know, I really wouldn't expect anything less. When we come back here on Training Camp Live, we did the X's presented by Pepsi, but it's time to go over to the O's, and we're going to play a game of over and under. These are always fun, but there's a few in here that I think are a little bit tricky. I mean, you talk about Adrian Peterson, Darius Geis, the run game. How many yards will they get in touches? We'll find out. We're gonna jump into that. We come back, play along with us.
This summer, it's time to get back outdoors. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Enjoy the sunshine in the family-friendly Pilot or the rugged Passport. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the Pilot at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
Training Camp Live, Julie Donaldson, Santana Moss, and it is time now for the O's. Again, one of his favorite segments. We're doing a little game of over-under. And look, we keep saying that we want you to be involved in this because it really is about the fans and, of course, everything that's going on behind us here on the football field. So play along in this game. Send us your tweets. We're putting them up during the show. We want to be able to hear from you and again, get you involved. And you can kind of judge maybe how Santana and I do as we go through these over and unders. But let's get straight to it. Terry McLaurin. Look, he had just about 1,000 yards, about 917 last season. So over under, will he get 1,000? We know he's right now the #1 receiver on there. I would say easy. I'm going to take the over on him.
Yeah, you know, I'm one of those guys. I'm always optimistic, so I'm hoping yes he will be over. But you have to understand also the target is big on his back. We don't have a predominantly second guy that we can really count on. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the coverages is going to be going over to him. I'm going to say over because I want him to go out there and do big things, but it's possibly that he can be under, but still a little above 800 to 900 yards.
Okay, what about the touchdowns for him? 7.
7 touchdowns, I believe, is easy. You know, when you have a quarterback like Haskins throwing you the ball and have the speed that Terry has, it's scary for a reason. They call him Scary Terry for a reason. He's going to get behind guys a lot, so 7 touchdowns, definitely over.
You know, they worked out a lot during the offseason, and he was saying that the way that the ball is coming out from Haskins and the way that it just kind of falls on him is different than it was last year. It's better than it was last year. You can tell that he was working on his craft, and they're going to be even further in sync, even given that they had a lot of touchdowns and connections while they were at Ohio State as well. So I think that further chemistry is going to add. I would go over for him on touchdowns as well. But look, I'm going to be betting on McLaurin this season to be able to help carry this offense. The question is who's going to step up next to him? Steven Sims Jr., a special teams touchdown. This is set at 0.5. I would take the over. I think that they haven't had something on special teams that has the shiftiness, and that has the desire to really kind of immerse himself and be a playmaker. So I would take the over on this.
No question. I think he was elusive on both offensive side and the special team side. I want to see more touches back there as a punt returner. To me, I think what he has, the gift he has to get away from defenders and be able to open up in speed, open his gate up in open field. I can see him easily getting that as a punt returner alone, so I'm going to definitely say over.
Yeah, the question is catch the ball. I remember that was the last season as head coach Jay Gruden kept saying, look, we have to have somebody that can catch the ball first, and the one that he did return for a touchdown, he miffed. He dropped it, he got it, he kept going, but he got everybody off position, and he was able to use that speed and get around everyone. So we're going to take the over. Let's go to the quarterback now, Dwayne Haskins Jr., over under 3,500 yards. 3,500
yards for a quarterback of his caliber is kind of like a walk in the park, so I definitely say over. He has a few targets that I know he's going to lean on when it comes time. So yes, over is no doubt.
Yeah, I would go over as well. I think they're going to really try to establish the run game to kind of protect him a little bit here as he does go in and as you do trying to figure out who the receivers are that he's going to throw to. But look, they understand he has that arm, he has that ability and the strength to be able to do that. So I'd go over. The question being is, does it always connect with the right guy? How about interceptions over under 12.5?
Because he's my guy. He's going to be under 12. I mean, that's almost like an insult. Let's say this guy's going to have 12 plus INTs. You think the man is Eli Manning or something like that? But no, he's going to be under 12 interceptions, under 12 interceptions.
Yeah, I would go under as well. Look, I know he started pretty hot, but as you saw as the season progressed in the games he was in, he saw him take better control of that, make better decision making, being able to read the defense better. Those are things they're working on him for, so I would say under that. How about passing touchdown 7?
Easy. Terry Scary gonna have 7 by himself, so I can easily see him having more than 7.
Wait, actually 7 is what he had last year. Okay, so that's why it would be too easy. How about this? 7 he had last season. Remember, he only played 9 games, so he wasn't even out there for a full season and adjusting. So the over/under is set at 15.5. So that's why it's a little insulting. Sorry about that one. All right, 15.5 for a full season.
Yeah, 15.5. I want to get too big for my britches, so I'm gonna say about 15. I'm gonna say under 15. Let's just give him something to have hope for. I don't want to put him out here on the scale and then he's below what I believe he can be. So I say under 15.5.
You can't do a push at 15.5, can you?
Yeah, I'll be right there.
Okay.
On the crust.
That. How about Adrian Peterson? Look, the past few seasons he has over 100 yards from scrimmage if you include all of them together. But if we're just talking rushing yards here, 1,000, I would say I'm going to go under for this one. you have a lot of running backs in that room. And you look at the way this system that Scott Turner wants to do, yeah, they're going to have a couple backs that are on the field together. And Peterson's going to be that tone setter, but I think they're going to have so many other options in that run game that trying to get that ball and get that 1,000 is going to be a little bit of a stretch. Yeah,
it's going to be a stretch, and I mean it's going to be a stretch, but I hate to bet against Adrian.
Fair enough.
But just knowing that, you know, their running back room is loaded. I'm going to remind the viewers and the listeners this. In Carolina, they had 2 backs at one point in time. Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. If you watch how those guys played against us when we played them, when they was running those things, I can see the future being like that here. If it's AP and Geis, or you name it, you put in Love and Geis, or Love and we have so many, we can have that kind of a you know, system. So I'm hoping all these guys can see. I can see them having 500 plus, but 1,000 yards is a bit of a stretch.
If he does get 1,000, I'm not sure exactly the same numbers, but he's, again, on the active roster. He's only about 1,000 or so shy of Frank Gore. So, look, of course we want to pull for that. Why wouldn't we? You want the team to do well. How about rushing touchdowns at 5.5?
It was tough getting 5 last year, so I'm gonna say, you know, I'm gonna say over 5. You know, he's gonna have to be called on, especially in those tough situations down there in the goal line. And AP is AP, man. Give it to him. One way or another, he's going to find a way to make something happen. So I say over 5.
Okay. I'm a little, again, torn again, because, again, I do believe that they have a lot of their options, but at the same time, it's like, who else is really going to step up? And a lot of the guys, I mean, if Bryce Love is out there and Darius Geis is out there, but can they be healthy and stay out there as well? There's options. So I'll take the over on that one. Yeah. So let's go to Darius Geis. Finished the past 2 seasons on the injured reserve list, not being able to carry it out. You know, we'll see how he goes, but over under 750 yards.
I'm going to say over. I think, you know, one thing about Geis, man, if he's healthy this year, they can lean on him a lot, and he can get 1,000 yards easily. You know what I mean? He's just that type of back. So if he's healthy, man, he's way over 700 yards. I mean, he can get that in 2 or 3 weeks. You saw what he did when he was healthy for those few weeks that we had him, man.
A couple hundred in a game.
Easy. That's what I'm saying. He's a dynamic back, and he's going to make it hard for others to get in the game, especially the way he is. You know, it's hard to even shut him up these days when it comes to anything you say about him. So I just know how it's going to be.
Oh, you just don't want him to hear this and come back and get at you.
Not really. I really care less about that. At the end of the day, I've been in his seat before, and people have always been critical about what I should or shouldn't be doing. So when it comes down to that, I'm on the side. I understand how he feels. I would tell him, you know, don't worry about what they say. You know, keep it to yourself and just let your game speak for itself. So, but I can easily see him getting over 700 yards if he's healthy.
Yeah, no, he definitely has that chip on his shoulder and is ready to prove the world what he is capable of doing. He's just going to have to really listen to his body. Yeah. I would say over if we were talking total yards here in the pass game as well, but rush yards, I might take the under on that one. But if we are specifically talking rush yards, I think they want to try and switch things up and try and make some quick passes to him in this one. How about over under 5.5 touchdowns for Darius?
Yeah, touchdowns is easy. Over. I'm going to say over because I understand what he can do with the ball in his hand. He's a guy that he's dynamic with it, and he can put it up in the passing game or in the running game. So definitely over on that.
Yeah, he's in sync with Dwayne Haskins Jr. as well. So while we kind of see how the receivers shake out, I'll take the over. All right, here we go. It gets a little bit interesting with this next one. Are y'all ready for this? Alex Smith, pass attempts, 0.5. Basically saying, is he going to get out there and is he going to play?
I just want to see Alex continue to progress and get healthier. I would love to. If he has a chance, hey, I'm all for it. But right now, I just don't see that. So I would say no. I would say under.
Like, he can surprise everybody all he wants by what he's doing. Everybody will be rooting for him. But also, I'm the kind of person that says, like, I want him still in one piece. Yeah. So I'm going to say no. Yeah. I'm going to say he's not going to be out there. We love what he's doing, but not going to be out there. Then it kind of comes maybe to a little bit of a question. Could there be a trade? So the last 3 players that were traded from the team were Trent Williams to the 49ers, Kyle Allen from the Panthers brought over, and Quentin Dunbar out to the Seahawks. So over under on trades that are going to be happening, 0.5.
I can say over, man. This season it's crazy already as it starts. It's starting out the gates crazy when it comes to how conditions have us under certain circumstances when it comes to practice and everything. And I don't think this roster is really, you know, all the way made out. You know, we still might get another receiver here or there, you know. So who knows? So I definitely say over when it comes to trades.
I'd say over. I mean, yeah, you look at and there aren't a lot of necessarily playmakers, especially out there on offense. You have a lot of depth players, a lot of prove-it players, a lot of one-year contracts out there for them. And that's just kind of like Ron Rivera saying, let me make sure I really evaluate what is on this roster now as he does come in and bringing these guys in. But I do believe that if there was a move to be made that would bring somebody in that could really help this team, offense or defense, that they would be able to do that. So I would take the over. All right, so there we go. We hope you played along, had some fun with us. We'll be continuing this as training camp does go along. And I don't know if we're going to keep scoring up. Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. I guess it depends on how we do. Right. Look, when we come back, though, again, it's all about you. We put it out there. Logan Campbell said, bring us questions. So she's going to be bringing questions that you put out for Santana, and I will answer them to the best of our ability. Stay with us on Training Camp Live.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
This summer, get back in the driver's seat. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Like the versatile HR-V or the fun-to-drive CR-V. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the CR-V at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
All right, we're back on Training Camp Live. Love hearing the whistles behind us, the guys yelling, the coaches telling them what to do. Julie Donaldson, Santana and time to bring in the third member of our crew, Logan Campbell. So Logan put out there on Twitter that we want you to bring your questions for us. She kind of weeded through them. We got a lot of good questions out there, so I know she had to narrow it down to just 5 that we're talking about today. Logan, what is everybody trying to hit us up with?
Yeah, Julie, we're making this training camp all about the fans this year. So we're going to kick things off with the quarterbacks. Dill tweeted at us, starting quarterback seems like it's Haskins to lose. But do y'all think any reps will be divided with the first team between Haskins, Allen, and Smith if he's cleared? He then went on to ask, when will Alex Smith and Reuben Foster take physicals again to see if they're ready to come off the PUP list? Julian Santana, what do we think is going to shake out with the quarterback game?
So here's the thing. Everybody's sitting there anticipating that Kyle Allen knows this system, right, Santana?
Yeah.
And so to do that. But the thing that they really have to do is they have to get Dwayne Haskins Jr. ready to play as they take over. So he is taking the majority, if not almost all, of the snaps with the first team. They'll sprinkle Kyle Allen there a little bit, but it's going to be Haskins making sure that he is set to go for week 1. That is their mission and their goal. And as far as, you know, when will you have Alex Smith and Reuben Foster? That's when the trainers clear them to be able to take the physical again and see if they can go. But I mean, look, if you got to get Haskins ready, you got to give him most of the snaps with the first team.
It's only right. All the smart coordinators and coaches know that, hey, I'm going to get my starter ready first, but at the same time, I have other guys here, so I have to sprinkle in a couple of plays here and there just to see and make sure that they caught up to speed. So it's no question, all those guys will get some reps, but Haskins will get the majority.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's a young quarterback coming in. This is his year to prove it. It is definitely his to lose the job there. Okay, so hopefully that answers the question. What's next up?
Next up, we're going to switch it up to the defensive end. Tim Meek tweeted, Montez Sweat looks noticeably bigger. In my opinion, he needed that extra size and strength. How does his quickness look? Still explosive? Prediction, Sweat is going to have a monster year as the forgotten first rounder of that defensive line.
All right, Tana, I'll let you start with this one.
Well, one thing that it's very noticeable that, you know, Montez put on a little beef up top, and I'm pretty sure he knows better than us. You know, he had a whole season long playing with some grown men. It was a lot different from college, and his season kind of progressed a little slower than what we anticipated, and he went out there and got 2 sacks, I believe, in the last game. Coming into this season, knowing the attention that he might not have much, it's great to see him say, hey, I need to pay attention to what I want to do better and an area that I feel that I wasn't paying close attention to when I was younger. And now in his second stint, he knows that. That's why he beefed up. And then he understands also, I have a guy on the other side that's going to allow me to be the guy who I was and what everybody want to see from me. So it's great to see him that way. I'm not sure if he needed it, but who knows? He knows himself better than us, and I'm looking forward to him having a great year.
Look, he came in strong. He came in with all the accolades or all those, intangibles at the combine. Ran the fastest, had the arm length 7-foot wingspan on him for that. But I think beefing up a little bit, especially in the lower body, was something that I know he was wanting to do, and the coaches were wanting him to do in that. Look, when I was asked, I asked some of the guys about that. They said him and Chase Young just look like prototypes. So if you're comparing his body to Chase Young's body, and I don't know how much you can really go with that, they basically just look like prototypes. So yeah, I think you could anticipate him having a bigger year coming in here and really having that firmer grasp, because I think it was a little bit of a learning curve for him coming in his freshman year. He didn't come from such a big of a program as a Chase Young. So, but you saw once he was getting that coaching up at the end of the season, I could see him, especially with the help of Chase, having a big breakout year.
I have to agree with you, Julie. He had an excellent game at Dallas for the last game of the season with 2 sacks. I really think he's going to take that momentum and take it into the season and do something really special on the field. But moving on, we're going back to the wide receivers. At Still Me tweeted, "What are you and Tana's pre-camp thoughts about wide receiver starters opposite of Terry McLaurin?"
That's the big question. And I know they were really relying on Kelvin Harmon to come in. They had talked about one of the things they really wanted of him was speed, and that was the first thing you heard Dwayne Haskins Jr., the guy, saying, is that he did pick up a bit of speed in the offseason. So it's unfortunate that he's gone for the season as he went through injury, working his way back. The guys say they're still rallying around him. So it leaves it wide open. I think it's just way too early to tell who is going to be that person to step in there. And coach is saying open competition. Someone's really going to have to emerge in training camp. And Tana, I don't think it's going to be so much of like who starts opposite him, but who's going to get the most snap counts throughout a game opposite of him.
Yeah, it's definitely, up there in the air when it comes to who's going to be that guy. I honestly feel that it might be somebody that's on the street right now or with another team that we might trade for. Who knows? But don't count out the guys that's here. I think there's a lot of talent here. I think it's some young guys that you can't overlook just because they're young. AGG has a lot of potential. He can honestly be that guy with his height and just with his, ball catching ability. I'll put the guy in now and just tell him, prove to me that you can't start on this level. But the door is wide open for those guys who want to fight for that position. And I'm looking forward to seeing who's the last guy standing.
They did just bring in Dontrell Inman as well, and while he's not maybe the fastest, they said he's really great at running routes, in catching the ball, making sure he brings it down, and a quarterback that understands that where he's going to be will kind of take advantage of that. And then also you have Steven Sims Jr. kind of came on late as well. You view him mostly as a slot guy, but in this offense, he's got to be able to play other positions as well to emerge. So I kind of think all of those guys, it's just up in the air to kind of see who's going to get the most playing time. But yeah, Terry McLaurin definitely is going to draw a lot of attention.
No doubt.
Absolutely. We're going to throw it to the rookies now. GKO tweeted, "How big of a chip does Thaddeus Moss have on his shoulders?"
I mean, look, he comes from great lineage, and when we were talking to him, of course, I covered his dad as well when it was with the Patriots, and there's so much talk about his dad, and he didn't get drafted, and he was slighted by that. He said it was kind of like a slap in the face. So yeah, there's a chip.
Yeah, it probably a chip. I'm a guy that watched him a lot, and he was on a great offense, a great team as a whole. And when it comes down to that, certain guys view themselves a little differently. Me, personally, I would have been the guy to say, hey, man, stay one more year and show more. He was definitely clutch every time they went to him, so I understand why he felt like, hey, there's going to be an area for a guy like myself on somebody's team. To not get drafted, to be a Moss, to be Randy Moss's son, I understand why it's the chip, and now he has nothing but ample time to show us why. So he has a chance to fight for that starting job here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Yeah, okay, so basically we're saying there is a huge chip on his shoulder, but just like everybody else, especially, the tight end position, just like the receiver position, is kind of wide open for anyone to come in and kind of take it. All right, Logan, what's next?
All right, we saved the best one for last. This is my personal favorite. So Murph tweeted, "I have a very important request. Can Logan and Julie please request Santana to start tweeting again? Last tweet was from 2011. 8 to the 9.
Well,
I know you're retired from the game of football. But what are we going to see a social media comeback from you? It's
Come on, Tana. Come on. Give us something.
Oh, man.
I'm tagging you in everything, and it's just your dead silence. I'm feeling ignored. So is Logan, and so is everybody else out there. We feel like you're shunning us.
I may have to just for work. I may have to. I was on there for different reasons, just, exploring and trying to, enjoy social media at its finest. But since everyone has been they've been asking me for the last 4 years, so it's not the first time someone asks. I just been chilling. Like that was my last tweet. I'm chilling. So
Yeah, well, we need to
I've
create what's
tried
going to be
to
the
stay
next
away
one
from
coming
it,
up.
but who knows? I may come back. I may make a comeback.
You can do cracked under
Twitter.
pressure. I'm back.
Okay.
You know, 8 to the 9. Look, we love interacting on Twitter, so fans want to be able to have your input and go back and forth with you. All right, Logan. We're going to work on that one.
Yes, we'll have some lessons after the show.
All right, thanks. That's Logan Campbell joining us. She's a big part of our team, bringing us the social media in today. We're going to have people interacting with us and asking questions. Those are some good, smart questions, too.
No doubt.
All right, when we come back, look, it's time for the post-game speech as we just went through the scouting report. We'll tell you kind of what's going on today in training camp and what you can expect a little bit later in the show or day.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
This summer, it's time to get back outdoors. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Enjoy the sunshine in the family-friendly Pilot or the rugged Passport. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the Pilot at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
It is time for our post-game speech, and basically we're telling you who's going to be doing all the talking today. Look, typically you would have players and reporters going out and being able to just go on the field and get the interviews and bring them to you. That is not the case in Corona. We are making sure that we are safe, so we're doing these all through Zoom. Coming up, Morgan Moses is going to have a press conference, as well as Matt Ioannidis, what you can expect from them coming into this season and training camp, how they're coping. And the wide receiver coach, there's going to be a lot of questions. Everybody wants to know who starts opposite Terry McLaurin. Jim Hostler is going to be having a press conference as well. And then happy hour is at 2:30. I'm chatting with Jimmy Moreland, so you're going to want to come back for that. Bring a beverage if you want.
Jimmy got sold.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy really came onto the scene last season as well, and from all means, I hear that he could be a starter as well coming in.
Everybody has high hopes for Jimmy, and you know how I felt about Jimmy last year. He's a Florida guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing this guy go out there and do what he do. So, Jimmy, what you got for us?
All right, we'll have you bring a question for me when I chat with Jimmy a little bit
Gotcha.
later. Again, that'll be coming up at 2:30. Thanks for joining us here in Training Camp Live for Santana Moss. I'm Julie Donaldson, as well. Logan Campbell joined us as well. We'll be back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. though, so you want to make sure that you write it down. We will not be here at 9. We'll be back here at 10 a.m. Reason being, I'm going to be on the Today Show, so you can go join the Today Show from the 9 to 10 o'clock hour. See us talking about everything about your Washington football team, but we'll see you back here tomorrow, 10 a.m.